Hi, everybody. I'm Caleb. I've seen a lot of movies, but I have not seen Stephen King's It. So, I don't know too much about this one, except that it's a classic. Tim Curry has a great performance in it, from what I hear, and it has to do with like childhood fears and stuff like that. I've wanted to see this for a very long time, so now's the opportunity, and I get to judge it harshly by just the first 5 minutes. Awesome! So I'm gonna go ahead and watch that, and I will see you within 5 minutes. Alright, so I finished the first 5 minutes of It, and it was good. It was a very solid 5 minutes. It was a kind of a slow opening, but immediately, freaking kid dies. You're introduced to a character who I'm guessing is vital. He's like some librarian, or at least he's referred to as a librarian, but he acts like a private eye for some reason. Sees a photo on the ground of this crime scene after several kids apparently have gone missing. This is just one of many. And it says, Georgie. And then talks about like a I know what you did last summer type of like conspiracy. Well, at least that's what it feels like. So that's kind of cool. The 5 minute marker ended in typical movie adaptation of Stephen King fashion with a character who is obviously Stephen King. Every single one of these Stephen King movies have Stephen King in it, basically. My predictions, forgive me, I know a little bit about this movie, that it is like a manifestation of childhood fears, but that's the extension of it. So what I got out of the first 5 minutes is that, what I'm guessing is a group of kids have encountered it before, but now they're all grown up and they've gone their separate ways. That photo of the kid Georgie, I'm assuming he died. But this group of kids who are now adults know how Georgie died while nobody else does. That's my idea of it. And I'm guessing this Stephen King style character is gonna be the hero. Because why wouldn't he be the main character in his own story? Yeah, I quite like it. Even though it's a friggin' old movie, the music is pretty dated. Even the jump cuts and the sound effects, you could tell it's just an old movie with an old sense of pacing, but it still really brought the story forward in the first 5 minutes. I wasn't bored. I was intrigued, especially near the end of that 5 minute block. I want to see the rest of the story. So yeah, it was absolutely solid. For the 5 minutes of this movie, it definitely deserves, I would give it a B plus for sure. An 89. But yeah, I'm actually engrossed in this, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it. So to see if my predictions are correct and everything, I will see you after the rest of the movie, which is about like 2.5 hours, apparently. So, nice. Alright, so I finished It. 3 hours. So I'll start off by saying my predictions were correct. I'm very proud of that. However, this movie had such tremendous momentum. Like, after that 5 minute point, it was driving such a hard, complex, pretty deep plot. And then they just decided to shit on it just to see what happens. Like, you know how great this movie is going? How great this story is going? What if we were to take off our pants and shit upon it. What could go wrong? Oh, what the? Oh, okay. So, I don't know. There was this massive turn. I can't even pinpoint the exact location that it occurred, where the characters were amazing, the story was amazing, and then somewhere out of the blue I started going, these guys are stupid. They're shitty. They're useless. What? Like, Beverly was the worst human being I've ever seen. She was a very sympathetic character that I really felt for. And then she ended up being a really shitty person. Eddie, with the asthma, awesome kid. Really awesome kid. Very useful character. Then, out of nowhere, the most worthless character ever. He went on a digression in the climax, mind you, to let his friends know that he was a virgin because he didn't love anybody else but this group. And then they just continued. Why? Why did he bring that up? Was he wanting to fuck them before they met the monster? Was he asking for sex? I can't tell. There's no reason that dialogue should be in there. I'm gonna go ahead and spoil the ending. Cause, like, you can watch most of this movie and be entertained. Don't bother watching the ending. Like, I'm sorry, but like most of Stephen King's endings, they're not worth it. Watch the first half of any Stephen King movie and you will be happy. Watch the end, you will be not happy. This was terrible. God damn it. So, his girlfriend, like the main character, Billy. Main character, Billy. So, like, they solve the case. They kill the beast. His girlfriend followed him and she's all catatonic in a friggin' spider web or some shit. And his radical therapy on curing her basket case problem is to put her onto a bike, side saddle, and just start flying down a hill. And yeah, she snaps out of it. His goal was to make her shit herself, basically, so she could start kissing him in the middle of a busy intersection that could have killed people. But it's fine, because they're kissing in an intersection now. After the 5 minutes, like the friggin' Pennywise, the clown, is back, and they all are assembled back together. The one character whose only real defining characteristic is the fact that he's Jewish, commits suicide and cuts himself in the bathtub. Don't know why he bothered writing it on the wall other than to just be creepy. And then you had some ridiculous, like, I'm talking like 1940s black and white horrible B-movie scream when he's discovered. It's that it's horrible. It was not good. And that's actually how side one of the DVD ended. I was tempted to not flip it over. I was done. I don't understand how these kids were amazing characters. They were really great. Their chemistry was fantastic. They had little subplots amongst each other, and then a big plot with together as a group. But then when they became adults, they became the worst human beings I've ever seen. I did not feel for them. I wish they lost. In all honesty, Stephen King, it's not rare for him to make adults lose. Why didn't he make them lose? He made the two characters I felt sorry for the most die or almost die. Everyone else is just a douchebag. They use other people. They're cowardly. They're liars and just terrible people, yet they feel like they have some sort of higher purpose. Oh, fucking stupid. And then they try to replicate what they did as kids to kill the monster, but apparently he's a spider. Why? I don't know. Why not just throw a spider in there? Because the clowns stopped getting scary after the first 2.5 fucking hours of this. Let's throw in a giant spider with little baby arms. That's great. That'll scare them. Dumb Beverly tries to hit it with a slingshot and it bounces off. It's super dramatic that it bounces off. But yeah, he has a hard exoskeleton. No wonder an earring bounced off. Doesn't matter how hard you threw it. And then his shiny underbelly got hit with a freaking slingshot. But that wasn't enough. That didn't kill him. And they killed the friggin' Eddie with the inhaler and shit. They took their time as it was making its escape as well. They took their time to talk to him. Even though there was no evidence of him being hurt other than being picked up and then set down. So they go and they do something that is completely shocking to me. They set upon the spider that they were initially cowering in fear from. They set upon him in the most unenthusiastic, just tearing apart with their bare hands and teeth, just light little TV punches that you'd see in a friggin' John Wayne movie. And then I assume they pull out his heart. No emotion on their faces, even though it's supposed to be the emotional climax of the movie. And what bothers me about that is that if all they had to do was just fall on top of it as a group and lightly tap it with their fists to kill it, that means they just let Eddie die. For no reason. They could tear a giant spider apart with their bare hands. But I don't know, nothing told them that they could. They just decided to. They're like, hey, you know what? This hard exoskeleton, I bet we can rip into it with our fingernails. I can't... Okay. So... that first 5 minutes got a B+. Rest of this movie, it came out in 1990. I know it was a mini-series, but it is a movie now as far as we're concerned. It's a 1990 movie. It felt like I was watching a bad movie from the 70s. And it was low-quality acting, except for John Ritter. And no one else. It was low-quality acting. Some of the writing was good. The rest was just cheesy and terrible. The character development started out good. But, you know, the thing about character development is that it continually has to keep developing. It stopped. Dead in its tracks. They just turned their characters into pieces of shit and told us to live with it and still see them as heroes. I don't care. I was rooting for Pennywise at the end. They deserved to die. This movie went from a B+ to a straight up D. I can't stand it. I really wanted to like this. I really did like this when it was starting. This movie just consistently tried to get me to hate it. And it worked at the end. I'm sorry. Tim Curry was good. Alright, here's a list of movies that came out in 1990 if you're not convinced that this movie doesn't suck. Goodfellas. Home Alone. Home Alone had a good soundtrack. Why did this sound like it got its soundtrack from the late 50s? Total Recall. Edward Scissorhands. Ghost. Tremors. They knew how to do special effects in 1990. They knew how. They knew how to act in 1990. Why? This miniseries had money. It had money behind it. Oh. Die Hard 2. Back to the Future 2. 3. Hunt for Red October. This movie has no excuse. No. I had to sit through the worst acting for 3 fucking hours. I'm done. Okay. Next week, guys. Bye. This was bad. I'm glad they're remaking it. I normally don't like remakes. I'm glad they're remaking it.